Have you ever found yourself waiting for someone to change, hoping a friend, partner, or colleague will finally see things your way, act differently, or treat you better? We all have, but here's a painful truth: waiting for people to change is one of the greatest drains on your energy, time, and peace of mind. It keeps you stuck in disappointment, frustration, and resentment. While life moves forward around you, the problem we are going to solve today is the invisible trap of waiting for others. So many of us anchor our happiness and future on someone else's transformation, unknowingly giving them control over our joy. By the end of this video, you will understand why change cannot be forced in others, why waiting is wasted energy, and how you can reclaim your life by focusing on what you can control yourself and your choices. The first step to freeing yourself from wasted time is accepting a simple yet powerful truth. People rarely change unless they truly want to. You cannot force someone to be different, no matter how much you hope, push, or manipulate. No matter how much you hope, push, or manipulate, change is an internal process. It comes from self awareness, desire, and effort. External pressure, guilt, or arguments may create temporary adjustments, but lasting transformation requires willingness from within. When we wait for someone else to change, we are placing our life in their hands. We spend energy imagining scenarios, trying to motivate them, and hoping for outcomes that are beyond our control. We replay conversations in our minds, analyze their behavior endlessly, and build expectations around their potential growth. But in doing so, we neglect ourselves, our own development, and the opportunities life presents every day. But waiting can feel like patience, but it is often disguised attachment. We tell ourselves if they would only change, things would be better, or I'll be happy once they see things differently. Yet this mindset leaves us in a constant state of suspension, as though life cannot move forward until someone else evolves. The reality is harsh but liberating. People change on their own timetable, and sometimes they never do. Holding on to hope that they will forces us to live in uncertainty and prolongs frustration, resentment, and emotional fatigue. This understanding does not mean you stop caring or cease setting boundaries. You can still encourage, guide, and support those around you, but your peace cannot hinge on their transformation. Accepting this truth is the first act of self respect. It allows you to stop wasting energy on trying to mold someone else and redirect it toward your growth, clarity, and happiness. The moment you internalize that change is personal and voluntary, you release yourself from the invisible chains of expectation. You stop waiting for an external shift to justify your joy, and you start reclaiming control over your emotions, decisions, and life. By letting go of the illusion that someone else's change will fix your world, you begin to see the freedom that comes from focusing on what is within your power. Your energy becomes yours again, and your life, rather than someone else's choices, becomes the priority. The second step to freeing yourself from the trap of waiting for people to change is understanding the real cost of doing so. When you anchor your happiness, peace, or sense of fulfillment on someone else's transformation, you surrender control over your life. Every day spent waiting is a day lost, a day where your energy is drained by frustration, disappointment, and unmet expectations. Life is moving forward, opportunities are passing by, and yet you remain stuck in a loop of hope and resentment, watching the clock tick while waiting for someone else to act differently. This cost is not just emotional, it is mental and even physical. Constantly ruminating on what someone should do, how they might change, or why they haven't yet drains your focus and clouds your judgment. Your mind becomes preoccupied with hypotheticals. Your energy wasted on scenarios that may never materialize. Over time, this pattern leads to stress, anxiety, and even a diminished sense of self worth because you tie your happiness to forces outside your control. Moreover, waiting often creates unrealistic expectations. We tell ourselves if they would only see my point or if they would just behave differently, everything would be fine. These thoughts create a cycle of dependency where your emotional stability hinges on someone else's choices. You begin to overlook your own needs, compromise your boundaries, and accept behaviors that may be harmful or unproductive. The cost is high, not just wasted time, but also lost self respect, missed opportunities, and delayed personal growth. Another consequence of waiting is stagnation. When you focus your attention on someone else's potential change, you often neglect your own growth, passions, and purpose. Dreams that once inspired you fade into the background as you pour your energy into trying to influence someone else. Your life becomes reactive instead of proactive, defined by the actions or inactions of another person rather than your own choices and vision. Recognizing this cost is liberating because it shifts your perspective from helplessness to empowerment. Once you see the price you pay by waiting, it becomes clear that your time and energy are too valuable to be invested in something you cannot control. You begin to understand that true happiness, peace, and fulfillment element are cultivated within yourself, not dependent on someone else's evolution. Acknowledging this truth is not easy. It may bring discomfort, guilt, or even grief, especially if the person you are waiting for is someone you deeply care about. But it is a necessary step toward freedom. By recognizing the personal cost, you take ownership of your life and decisions of your life and decisions. You reclaim the energy that was being spent on hope and frustration and redirect it toward growth, action, and self respect. The realization dawns. Life is too precious to waste on waiting for someone else to become the person you need them to be. The third step in freeing yourself from the trap of waiting for people to change is embracing responsibility for your own life and choices. Too often, we shift the burden of our happiness, peace, and fulfillment onto someone else, waiting for them to act differently so that we can feel better. But the truth is, no one can make you happy, no one can fix your life, and no one can validate your worth. Only you hold that power, and taking responsibility is the key to reclaiming it. Taking responsibility begins with honest self reflection. Ask yourself, what am I tolerating? Where have I given my power away? How have I given my power away? How have I allowed someone else's behavior to dictate my emotions? These are not questions of blame, they are questions of awareness. They help you understand that while you cannot control others, you can control your response, your choices, and how you spend your time and energy. Responsibility is not about controlling someone else's change. It is about controlling someone else's change. It is about controlling your own life. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting. You stop hoping that someone will become different or that circumstances will magically improve. You recognize that your life is yours to shape and your happiness cannot be placed in someone else's hands. This shift in mindset is empowering. It transforms you from a passive observer, waiting, hoping, and resenting, into an active creator of your own reality. You begin to see that the power to improve your circumstances has always been within you. Responsibility also requires courage. It is uncomfortable to admit that you have been giving away your energy and waiting for change outside yourself. It is challenging to accept that no one owes you validation, recognition, or respect. But courage in this context is liberating. It allows you to set boundaries, make difficult decisions, and prioritize your own growth and well being without guilt or fear. When you embrace this courage, you no longer feel trapped by someone else's limitations or unwillingness to change. Taking responsibility also means acting intentionally. You identify what you need to change or improve in your own life, and you take deliberate steps to align your actions with your values, goals, and self respect. This could mean ending toxic relationships, investing in personal development, or shifting your focus toward opportunities and people who genuinely uplift you. Every choice becomes an act of empowerment rather than a reaction to someone else's behalf. Via by learning to take responsibility, you reclaim your time, energy, and peace. You are no longer a victim of circumstance or someone else's inaction. Instead, you become the architect of your own life, making conscious decisions that lead to growth, happiness, and fulfillment. The realization becomes clear. Waiting for people to change is wasted energy. But taking responsibility for yourself is the first step toward freedom. Clarity for yourself is the first step toward freedom, clarity. And a life fully lived, the final step in freeing yourself from waiting for people to change, is to shift your attention toward growth, boundaries, and relationships that genuinely serve you. Once you accept that others may never change, your energy becomes a precious resource. Where you once invested it in hope, frustration, or disappointment, you can now redirect it toward nurturing your own development, protecting your well being, and cultivating connections that uplift, inspire, and respect you. Focusing on personal growth is the most transformative step. When you channel your energy into learning, improving, and evolving, you create a life that no longer depends on anyone else's behavior. Growth builds confidence, clarity, and resilience. It strengthens your mind, body, and spirit so that you become less affected by external circumstances. It allows you to set goals, pursue passions, and develop skills that enhance your sense of purpose and fulfillment. When you grow, you attract people who align with your energy, values, and vision rather than clinging to those who diminish your light. Boundaries are equally essential. Many of us wait for others to change because we have not clearly defined what we will or will not tolerate. Boundaries protect your peace and ensure that your relationships remain healthy and reciprocal. Saying no to toxic behavior, limiting exposure to negativity, and refusing to accept disrespect are acts of self respect. They are not punishments for others, they are declarations of your own value. By setting boundaries, you create a safe space in your life where your energy is respected and your growth is prioritized. Relationships that serve you are the natural result of this shift. When you focus on growth and boundaries, you begin to attract and nurture people who truly honor and uplift you. These are individuals who celebrate your successes, support your journey, and provide genuine care and encouragement. Investing in these relationships amplifies your energy rather than draining it. You begin to experience the profound difference between connections that enrich your life and those that hold you back. This focus requires intentionality. It is easy to fall back into old patterns of hoping someone will change or trying to repair relationships that are not meant to evolve. But every moment you choose to invest in yourself, establish healthy boundaries, and connect with those who serve your growth, you reclaim your time, peace, and joy. Your life begins to feel lighter, more purposeful, and aligned with your true values. Ultimately, focusing on growth, boundaries, and supportive relationships frees you from the trap of waiting for others to become someone they are not. You stop losing time, energy, and emotional resources on what you cannot control. Instead, you cultivate a life that is empowered, intentional, and deeply fulfilling. You realize that your happiness is not contingent on anyone else. It is cultivated by your choices, your boundaries, and the quality of the people and experiences you allow into your life. As we come to the end, remember this: waiting for people to chant. G is a silent thief of time, energy, and peace. Life moves forward whether we wait or act, and anchoring our happiness on someone else's transformation only keeps us stuck in frustration and disappointment. True freedom begins the moment you accept that people rarely change unless they want to, that your life cannot be paused for someone else's growth, and that happiness comes from within, not from external validation. By taking responsibility for your choices, setting clear boundaries, and focusing on your own growth, you reclaim your power. You stop giving your energy to what you cannot control and instead invest it in what truly matters: your development, your peace, and the relationships that uplift and inspire you. Life becomes lighter, richer, and more fulfilling when you prioritize what serves you rather than what drains you. So today, make a promise to yourself. Today, make a promise to yourself to stop waiting, to stop hoping that someone else will change, and to start living intentionally. Embrace growth, protect your energy, and surround yourself with people and experiences that honor your worth. Life is too short to be spent waiting. Your happiness, your purpose, and your future are in your hands. Choose them, nurture them, and step boldly into the life you deserve.